London. London is the capital city of England and the United Kingdom, the largest metropolitan area in the United Kingdom, and the largest urban zone in the European Union by most measures. Located on the River Thames, London has been a major settlement for 2 millennia, its history going back to its founding by the Romans, who called it Londinium. London's ancient core, the City of London, largely retains its square-mile medieval boundaries. Since at least the 19th century, the name London has also referred to the metropolis developed around this core. The bulk of this conurbation forms the London region and the Greater London Administrative Area, governed by the elected Mayor of London and the London Assembly. London is a leading global city, with strengths in the arts, commerce, education, entertainment, fashion, finance, healthcare, media, professional services, research and development, tourism and transport, all contributing to its prominence. It is the world's largest financial center alongside New York City and has the 5th largest city GDP in the world, and the largest in Europe. It is the most international visitors of any city in the world, and London Heathrow is the world's busiest airport by number of international passengers. London's 43 universities form the largest concentration of higher education in Europe. London has some of the highest real estate prices in the world. In 2012, London will become the first city to host the modern Summer Olympic Games 3 times. London has a diverse range of peoples, cultures, and religions, and more than 300 languages are spoken within its boundaries. In July 2010, Greater London had an official population of 7,825,200, making it the most populous municipality in the European Union. The Greater London urban area is the second largest in the EU with a population of 8,278,251, while London's metropolitan area is the largest in the EU with an estimated total population of between 12 million and 14 million. London had the largest population of any city in the world from around 1831 to 1925. London contains 4 World Heritage Sites: the Tower of London, Kew Gardens, the site comprising the Palace of Westminster, Westminster Abbey, and St. Margaret's Church, and the historic settlement of Greenwich, in which the Royal Observatory marks the prime meridian, 0 degrees longitude, and GMT. Other famous landmarks include Buckingham Palace, the London Eye, Piccadilly Circus, St. Paul's Cathedral, Tower Bridge, Trafalgar Square and Wembley Stadium. London is home to numerous museums, galleries, libraries, sporting events and other cultural institutions, including the British Museum, National Gallery, British Library, Wimbledon and 40 theatres. The London Underground is the oldest underground railway network in the world and the second most extensive, after the Shanghai Metro. Geography of London. Greater London is the top-level administrative subdivision covering London. The small, ancient city of London at its core once contained the whole settlement, but as the urban area grew, the city corporation resisted attempts to amalgamate it with its suburbs, causing London to be defined in a number of ways for different purposes. And the situation was once open to legal debate. 40% of Greater London is covered by the London Post Town, within which London forms part of postal addresses. The London Telephone Area Code, 020, covers a larger area, similar in size to Greater London, although some outer districts are omitted and some places just outside are included. The area within the orbital M25 motorway is normally what is referred to as London, and the Greater London boundary has been aligned to it in places. Outward urban expansion is now prevented by the Metropolitan Green Belt, although the built-up area extends beyond the boundary in places, resulting in a separately defined Greater London urban area. Beyond this is the vast London commuter belt. Greater London is split for some purposes into Inner London and Outer London. The city is split by the River Thames into north and south, with an informal central London area in its interior. Local government. The administration of London is formed of two tiers: a city-wide, strategic tier and a local tier. City-wide administration is coordinated by the Greater London Authority, GLA, while local administration is carried out by 33 smaller authorities. The GLA consists of two elected components: the Mayor of London, who has executive powers, and the London Assembly, who scrutinise the Mayor's decisions and can accept or reject his budget proposals each year. The headquarters of the GLA is City Hall, Southwark. The current Mayor is Boris Johnson. The Mayor's statutory planning strategy is published as the London Plan, which as of mid-2009 is being revised, for final publication in 2011. The local authorities are the councils of the 32 London boroughs and the City of London Corporation. They are responsible for most local services, such as local planning, schools, social services, local roads and refuse collection. Certain functions, such as waste management, are provided through joint arrangements. In 2009 to 2010, the combined revenue expenditure by London councils and the GLA amounted to just over 22 billion. 14.7 billion for the boroughs and 7.4 billion for the GLA. National government. London is the seat of the government of the United Kingdom, which is located around the Palace of Westminster. Many government departments are located close to Parliament, particularly along Whitehall, including the Prime Minister's residence at 10 Downing Street. The British Parliament is often referred to as the Mother of Parliaments, although this sobriquet was first applied to England itself by John Bright, because it has been the model for most other parliamentary systems, and its acts have created many other parliaments. Parks and gardens. The largest parks in the central area of London are the Royal Parks of Hyde Park, its neighbour Kensington Gardens at the western edge of central London, and Regent's Park on the northern edge. Regent's Park contains London Zoo, the world's oldest scientific zoo, and is located near the tourist attraction of Madame Tussauds Wax Museum. Closer to central London are the smaller royal parks of Green Park and St James's Park. Hyde Park in particular is popular for sports and sometimes hosts open-air concerts. A number of large parks lie outside the city centre, including the remaining royal parks of Greenwich Park to the southeast and Bushy Park and Richmond Park to the southwest, as well as Victoria Park, East London to the east. Primrose Hill to the north of Regent's Park is a popular spot to view the city skyline. Sports. London has hosted the Summer Olympics twice, in 1908 and 1948. In July 2005 London was chosen to host the Olympic and Paralympic Games in 2012, which will make it the first city in the world to host the Summer Olympics 3 times. London was also the host of the British Empire Games in 1934. London will host the 2017 World Championships in Athletics. London's most popular sport is football and it has 14 league football clubs, including 5 in the Premier League: Arsenal, Chelsea, Fulham, Queen's Park Rangers and Tottenham Hotspur. Project by Lambava Polina, Dragonana and Kalinkov Valentin.